What's up, guys? It is me, Nixxiom, and for those of you that follow me on Twitch, you know about my love and my passion for classic World of Warcraft. It's a fantastic game, a pure fantasy adventure with a setting just after Warcraft 3. The game has so many adventures to embark in, so many areas to explore, so many things to discover, and I love it. The game is so great, in fact, that we've been seeing server queues rising all the more as of late because of Blizzard's recent Burning Crusade announcement, but the game has had queues ever since its launch, and I'm just glad that you guys enjoy classic WoW just as much as me. Now, World of Warcraft has changed a lot since vanilla, and many awesome quests, items, locations, and even characters have either been removed from the game or they've just been changed beyond recognition. And today, I would like to talk about World of Warcraft's lore characters during the time of Classic WoW, specifically 5 badass lore characters in Classic World of Warcraft. And let's start with number 1. Number 1 is Archbishop Benedictus. My friends, any of you that have ever played the Alliance, you will remember that very first time you visited Stormwind. You walked into that human city, you saw those giant statues, you crossed over the bridge, you heard the music, and all of it was glorious. And the only thing that rivaled it, you know what I'm talking about, is when you first saw the Cathedral of Light, that whole cathedral district. Come on, man, you know what I'm talking about. After climbing those stairs of holiness and venturing through the great hall of the cathedral itself, there was a man that you would see. There he is, a man of the highest rank in the church, waiting for you to serve the light. And who is he? He's the Archbishop himself. Archbishop Benedictus was a student of Alonosis Fowl. I can't read. And he witnessed the birth of the first paladins. Now, fun fact, in Vanilla's patch 1.4.1, Archbishop Benedictus even became the faction leader for all the humans of Stormwind, at least for a while, until he was dethroned by Bolvar like a real man. That was in patch 1.5. That's when, patch 1.5 came out and it changed it back to Bolvar and friends being the leaders. But, he's a man of holiness, a man of serenity and greatness, and I'm telling you, Archbishop Benedictus, he's a badass lore character. And speaking of a badass that dwells in Stormwind, number 2, Bolvar Fordragon. Now, I know there are people out there that don't like Bolvar. I mean, let's be real, he got his ass kicked in the recent Shadowlands cinematic. I mean, what was up with that, right? Like, Sylvanas, we're not going to talk about that, okay? You've heard a lot of YouTubers talk about it, but Bolvar Fordragon, there he is, the leader of Stormwind, the future Lich King. And that is why Bolvar is on my list. He was the reagent for the people of Stormwind, since Varian was missing during the time of Classic WoW, and Anduin, well, he was just a little kid at the time. He couldn't really lead, so Bolvar, he just had to step up and he had to face one of the greatest challenges the city of Stormwind ever had faced. And what was that? The Defias Brotherhood, manipulated by the Black Dragon Onyxia, posing as Lady Prestor, a lady close to Anduin and the Stormwind Council. Yeah, it was for this reason, because of these massive quest lines that were attached to him, this was the reason why people loved Bolvar in Classic WoW, and it's why people cheered for him during the Wrathgate cinematic in Wrath of the Lich King. He was a hell of a man, just like me. Except I'm cooler. But he's still a badass, and I love him in Classic WoW. He's fantastic, and we have to put him on the list. Number 3 is Onyxia. Now, we're hanging out in Stormwind still, okay? So we might as well talk about Katrana Prestor. Katrana Prestor was a treacherous lady, hiding in plain sight as a noble woman, but secretly, she was the Black Dragon Onyxia, and was the puppeteer in the kingdom of Stormwind. She was the one who got Varian split into 2 different kings, one being the Chad version of King Varian, who was tough and awesome and a gladiator, and it was really badass, and the other one was basically Anduin, sad, mindless, a puppet for her dark master plan, a bitch. You know what I'm talking about. But then, with the help of Bolvar, that badass we talked about earlier, we kicked her out of the palace, and then we chased her all the way to Dustwallow Marsh, fought her, got kicked into the whelps, got hit by the tail, the hunter pulling the goddamn whelps! The point is we kicked her ass in Dustwallow Marsh, but her fingers were involved in everything. From level 1 as a human, you were introduced to the Defias Brotherhood. You were introduced to the corruption of the nobles of the lands of Stormwind and the surrounding territories. And Lady Prestor, she was at the forefront of all of this behind the scenes. A true manipulating dragon hiding in plain sight, and that makes her a badass. Number 4, Karin Bloodhoof. All right, we're talking about the Horde now, okay, guys? Like, just calm down. All right, I just wanted to talk about some Alliance guys for a second, okay? Now we're going to talk about Karin Bloodhoof. I recently played Warcraft 3 on my stream, and let me tell you something. Don't mess with that bull shit, if you know what I mean. And speaking of bulls, he's big, he's strong, and he is pretty old. So that means he's wise. In fact, he's so wise that he's going to click this like button down below the video because he knows that helps the content creator. That's me. Thank you, Karin Bloodhoof. In Classic WoW, Karin is the leader of the Bloodhoof Tauren. He is the leader of Thunder Bluff. So if you're a Tauren player in Classic, whether you're a male or a female Tauren, I don't know, you probably have had an encounter with Karin Bloodhoof at least once. Now, later on in his story, Garrosh does challenge him to a fight, which wasn't his fault. Garrosh did nothing wrong. And honestly, Karin might have even won that fight, but unfortunately, Magatha Grimtotem poisoned Garrosh's weapon, and well, you guys know what happened. Karin gets killed. So, they cheated, man. They cheated. Look what they did to my boy. Look what they did to Karin. He was one of my favorite characters from Warcraft 3. A badass. An epic advisor to Thrall. And then they just had to kill him. They had to kill him by manipulating and using the poor innocent orc known as Garrosh. But you know what? In Classic WoW, he's badass. He's awesome. And he stands proudly atop Thunder Bluff, reminding all of us of our adventures in Warcraft 3. Truly, he is a hero, and he deserves to be on this list. And number 5, the Warchief Thrall. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you probably know that I'm not a big fan of Green Pickle Jesus. Now, here's the thing. Before he was Green Pickle Jesus, he was simply Thrall, the Warchief, an orc torn between two worlds. On one hand, he had been raised by the humans of Lordaeron. He had learned their ways and customs and had grown used to humankind and their culture. Then, suddenly he's thrust back into the world of the orcs, shamanism and ancestor worship, and here he is now the leader, trying to lead the Horde as an orc warchief, yet struggling with his human-like upbringing. Could you imagine? Now, this was his character back in Classic WoW. This was his story. This is before he just started, stealing our kills at the end of every expansion. You know what I'm talking about. Deathwing, Garrosh, Dick. He's also a dirty cheater now. I remember Thrall when he used to be a badass back in Classic WoW. Now look at him. He's a dumbass. And I don't like him. But not in Classic. Like with Karin, this is the Thrall we all know and love from Warcraft 3. And he's a badass. The Thrall that built a home for his people in the foreign lands of Kalimdor. The Thrall who somehow carved out an existence for the Orcish Horde in the red-sanded desert of Durotar. Could you imagine? There he is, wearing his black armor, holding the Doom Hammer itself, ready to defend the Horde against any who would threaten them. And for that reason, he will always be my #1 badass in Classic WoW, if you don't count fucking Malfurion. But fucking Malfurion is sleeping right now, so we're not going to include him because that would be kind of weird. But Malfurion's pretty badass too. Guys, what do you all think? Who are your favorite lore characters in Classic WoW? And who do you think are the most badass lore characters in Classic WoW? Try to just go off of the Classic WoW lore. Don't really go off of, the lore that comes down the road, with, a character doing something in a later expansion. You guys know what I'm talking about. And would you like to see more awesome character breakdowns? And while you're leaving your comment, be sure to hit subscribe and hit that bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Join us over on Twitch if you want for a good time to join the community, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.